This is Pops. When we talk about Wolves, this Apple movie with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and why I feel like this is the problem with streaming in a nutshell. This is exactly what the downfall of streaming will kind of be embodied, in my opinion. Let's talk about it. All right, for any of you who are not familiar with it, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, directed by John Watts, an Apple original film called Wolfs. And if you've ever seen Pulp Fiction, the Harvey Keitel wolf cleaner character, that's pretty much who these guys are. There's a hotel incident, dead body, rich people clean up the mess. They call in a person that happens to be Clooney. The hotel has their own cleaner they call that happens to be Pitt. They don't get along. They're bickering. One's older than the other, which really doesn't quite work as well as you think it would work. And the film kind of moves along kind of as a buddy cop sort of journey because dude's not actually dead. And there's like 4 kilos of coke, and they got to figure that out because then the drug dealers will be after them. So the premise of the movie is actually pretty simple. It's got a little film noir element to it in a lot of ways, a lot of times. I think that there's great performances and moments. Clooney is sort of the lead. Brad Pitt plays definitely more of a supporting role. I will say I actually enjoyed Pitt's character in this. He's kind of like a little snarky, a little silly, a lot of cut for jokes. He seems like he's always ahead of the game. Things are pretty entertaining. The trailer really focuses on that intro, that opening sequences. The film actually spends very little time there and goes really into this buddy cop mode. All right, with all that said, why did I say what I said when it opened? Why is this such a big deal? Well, because Clooney got 35 million, Pitt got 35 million, John Watts got 15 million. We don't know how the overall production cost is, but let's just assume only another 50 million. This is a movie that is very okay, slightly good, like 3 out of 5 stars, maybe. Like it's around this sort of movie where it's one of those movies. If you haven't seen it and you watch it, you're like, that's pretty good. Or if I say, hey, have you seen Wolves? No, you'll like it, have a good time, and you'll watch it, and you'll never watch it again. Or if it just if we're streaming on cable, then you would run across it and it would be fine. But there's nothing great about this movie. There's no awards that's going to be held out with this movie. There's nothing really particularly unique about this movie. It's okay. Everything is satisfactory. $85 million just on those three people, not the rest of the production. For what? A streaming movie? When the streaming wars kicked into gear, like Disney Plus kind of went on, and everyone's going to try to copy Netflix, and everybody's copying Disney Plus with the little plus thing. Then you ended up with Max and Paramount and Peacock and Amazon, and you have so many. And I'm not even counting the ones that have survived and should survive that I actually tell most people wait for. Just keep your finger on the pulse of Tubi and Roku and Freevee, and there's probably 3 or 4 others where if you just tolerate commercials, it'll be there for free. When the streaming wars kind of get to their point where Apple doesn't treat this as just a lost leader, and people start to really call it what it is. It's almost like a money laundering scheme to just take a whole bunch of money and give it to Brad Pitt and George Clooney. And I don't know what else they have to do. Do they have to do commercials? Are we going to see like an Apple iPod end of the year ad with the two of them in commercials? Is it just to funnel a whole bunch of money into their marketing departments or something? I don't get it, because this is the joke and sort of like the attack on Disney for doing this, where they have these exorbitant budgets, amount of money being spent. And what they end up showing is a product that's just so generic, forgettable, or outright bad. This is Apple, though. This is sort of like, it's better quality. It's a better film. John Watts does a satisfactory job. Obviously, Pitt and Clooney do fine. There's really nothing particularly to hate on about the movie. It's just a little buddy cop adventure, especially because they have this little tag-along guy. He basically becomes the MacGuffin that they got to carry through this journey to resolve this coke issue that they had, this drug issue. And basically, it's a young guy versus old guy type of joke that kind of gets kids played over again. It's been done a million times. There's nothing special about the movie. There's no real agenda. It's not woke. It's not pushing anything. It's just a film. So $85 million plus expenses, production, whatever. Does it get new Apple people in the door? Does this get them more subscribers? And if so, how many more subscribers do you need? If it's $20 a pop, you need what? 4 million more people? Like, what? Like, this is going to be part of the streaming. So there's going to be a book written within like 3 years of the downfall of streaming, or maybe it'll take a little bit longer. I mean, I think that I'm shocked already. There hasn't been sort of like a coming together and a merger of some of these, but they're just not making money, and they're not going to make money at this point. If you're dropping $100 million to $150 million on a project like this, it didn't get any real box office run. It has no real stakes of doing anything that's sort of like set the world on fire. What's the point? You're not selling action figures. You're not selling merch. They're not going to get Oscars. What is the point? You're just flushing money down the toilet for what? Some sort of weird ego stroke? Like this is something you could talk at dinner parties because now you had George Clooney. Oh, yeah, we're working on this new George Clooney movie. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, we have Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt, really? Like it just feels like cocktail party fodder rather than actual entertainment in a movie that's worth making. Now, again, like I said, they did a fine job. I'm not saying they phoned it in. I'm just like, can you hopefully follow what I'm trying to say here? This is going to be a different spin on the Disney flush all the money down the toilet kind of thing. It's just this is how all of it is sort of like consumed by the locust for ulterior motives. This is not really political agenda stuff. I think this is just elite cocktail stuff. I don't know who in Apple are these big players that make these decisions. I will say most things on Apple are fine, but the things that I've enjoyed the most are usually like Oscar worthy type stuff. Things that you would feel like, oh, they're trying to get their foot in the door, they're trying to increase legitimacy. This is more like it's not actiony enough to be an action movie. It's not buddy cop enough to be funny enough. It's not theater driven. Like, I don't understand. That's a lot of cash to throw away. So, and it's kind of my general spin on the movie. Just okay. But this is kind of the worst. This is going to be the downfall of streaming. It's just going to be part of that story that we don't really spend enough time spinning our wheels on, like the meh movies that just chew up a ton of cash. And I kind of feel like this is a lot of where some of the TV shows have gone, especially like on Paramount, things of that nature, where you have good shows and then they kind of have this deterioration and you end up like season 3, season 4, and they're just like cash vacuums, man. Just sucks up cash. There's no way you're creating any real revenue generation or anything. I mean, I have to be honest, it's been Netflix has been the one that's kind of been the leader on putting out physical media of some of their stuff, right? Because we saw with Wednesday and the Valhalla show, we've seen a few like they've been more of that leader. We haven't, and we see it on Max. They'll put some physical copies of stuff. There's a big gap there when their shows end, but at least they're doing it. We don't see that really out of Paramount. We don't really see that out of these other streaming services. So I don't really quite understand what the point is. Like this isn't just a game. At some point, these checks and balances have to go back to shareholders, and maybe Apple is just so big they just carry all this along like a tick on their back. But at some point, someone's going to notice. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear from you and yours. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. I am Pops.